Was Dr. Fauci in his job illegally? And not just Fauci. A House committee is alleging that it's more than just Dr. Fauci. In fact, the committee on Capitol Hill claims that the Biden administration didn't properly reappoint a series of directors at the National Institutes of Health, where, of course, Fauci worked. What is in dispute is a law that requires the Secretary of Health and Human Services to personally, and this is key, reappoint all of the directors within the National Institutes of Health. And guess what? There's no dispute that this did not happen. The rub is that the Biden administration is now saying that they did it retroactively. Real convenient, huh? And regardless, it's definitely not what the law says has to happen. So the big question that has to get answered is whether Fauci and others were both operating without authority, implementing all of these policies during that period of time, and spending millions of dollars of taxpayer money. The House Committee on Energy and Commerce issued a letter that they sent to the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Xavier Becerra, seeking some details. And according to the committee, these 13 directors in question awarded more than $25 billion in federal biomedical grants during the period in question. The law that they're talking about, though, is called the 21st Century Cures Act. Now, Congress passed that law in 2016, and the whole point behind it was so that there would be greater accountability of NIH's actions. In fact, Section 2033 of that law says the following. It's called the Increasing Accountability at the National Institutes of Health. Couldn't be clearer what they were trying to get at, right? And it requires the Secretary of Health and Human Services to personally appoint and reappoint all of these directors at the NIH by December of 2021. That's when their terms were up. That's not in dispute. What is clear, though, are two things. One, that the secretary must reappoint them. We know that. And that two, it never happened. We know that as well. Here's the weird part, though. Congress actually gave HHS a heads up that this was coming. They flagged it for them, and it was ignored, right? HHS sent a letter to Congress documenting what had happened on June 19th, and they titled it Ratification of Prior Selection and Prospective Appointment Affidavit, showing these documents of when they got reappointed happened on June 8th and June 15th. Remember, the terms expired in December. They were specifically prospective appointments, but seemed to suggest some form of retroactive ratification. Well, it's pretty clear that too is not allowed under the law. In the case of Fauci and another director, according to the House committee, there isn't even a retroactive affidavit to that effect. Given what the documents reveal, though, and what the law is, the committee alleges that Fauci had no legal authority after December 12th, 2021, to perform any of the functions of the job he was in. Policy, personnel, billions of grant money pushed out. Legal guru Jonathan Turley looked into this whole situation, and here's what he said. This appears simple, albeit shocking negligence by the Biden administration as opposed to some nefarious effort. Yet if true, billions of dollars in grants and thousands of personnel and policy changes could be questioned. Turley went on to discuss the legal precedent that might be an issue. He wrote this, and this is about another case, but here's why it's important. He said, in one case involving challenged administrative law judges in 2018, the Supreme Court ruled in a case called Lucia versus Security and Exchange Commission that past litigants were entitled to decisions from properly appointed judges. Biden officials may have dismissed such obligations, but Congress clearly supported this requirement as an effort to gain greater accountability for these appointments. Executive officials do not have the authority to dismiss federal law any more than they have the authority to act without meeting the conditions to hold their positions under federal law. So here is another interesting question. Why wasn't it done? Why wasn't it done properly? Biden loved Fauci. In fact, I'm sure he loved all of these folks. Why cause a problem? Why not do it the right way? Why try to sweep it under the rug? I'm glad that the House Energy and Commerce Committee is pursuing this. I'm glad that they're getting to the bottom of it. But the next step is the real important step. Will they hold the Department of Health and Human Services and this administration accountable, making sure that any actions and any funds spent by these 13 directors during the period in question, including Fauci, are rescinded and done in accordance to the law? That will be the real test about whether Congress is going to hold this administration accountable. Well, if you enjoyed this video, click the like button, subscribe, and ring the bell to make sure that you never miss another video.